everybody, Geraldine Rose here. I think my voice is back enough. Now, this is the type of coffee card I would send out if I was able to go out for coffee. This was for the Crushing Christmas Cards giveaway over on Instagram. It's on until January 2nd. Lots of prizes from Sizzix, Wow, Ranger, Bloom. So hop on over and enter. Okay, I started out with the Sweater Weather embossing folder from Spellbinders because I love this one for Christmas. I didn't want to do it completely flat white. Brought out the Antique Linen Embossing Glaze from Ranger. Sprinkled a little bit of that on it after putting some Versamark on. Tippity-tappeting it around. Not done yet. If you don't like how it looks on any of those layers, you can either smudge it off with your finger or grab a brush out and brush it off a bit. It'll give it a little bit more of a distressed look. I was happy with it. I grabbed the Clear Matte Dull from Wow. This is one of my favorites. Gives a really neat velvety texture to it. You can't see it melting really here. It is shiny when it's hot, but as it cools down, it does dull and matte out, and that's where you get that smoothness across the top. It's really good for watercolor too because you don't happen to see it as much. Grabbed out the Fresh Brewed from Sizzix. I wanted to do a coffee card. Great for all time of year, right? It would be nice if I could go for coffee, but hey, I was sick again. And I had a friend in mind for this one. So I'm popping some Desert Storm Nina cardstock in and then some of the Nina Classic Crest White for the upper layer. I'm using different tones of beiges and browns to bring the shading in around the mugs and also to have different tones of coffee or tea because we all like our coffee and our tea different ways, right? To that effect, I have out one of the watercolor pencils, the Picket Fence from Ranger. I wet the end first, and I'm smudging it on. So this guy, he likes a little bit of milk in his coffee. And the Lumberjack Plaid Oxide, I know that my embossing glaze is going to stick to that. So put the card down, dabbed it into that. I'm putting the Candied Apple through the middle first because I'm going to bring in the Lumberjack Plaid on the outside, which is a darker red. And what that will do is give a little bit of roundness to that mug so that it has that aspect that it's got some perspective to it, considering that it is just really a flat object. These ones are really neat little mugs too because they've got the rounded tops, but then they've got the flat bottoms, and it's very Picasso-esque in the distortion that your eye kind of goes, what? Okay, we're going to cut a little highlight for each of them and a little bit different. So some of them were from the coffee set and the others were from the Vault Festive Wreath set with the poinsettia that was in there. I am dipping each of these in a different type of embossing powder or glaze. This one was in Clear Gloss from Wow. That one I did the entire mug, although I did brush off the part that was where the coffee was in the middle. And I thought for this one I would bring in my old snow marker from Marvy because it used to puff up really good, but it wasn't doing so good this time. Maybe it's a little bit too old. I put one layer down and then I put another layer down and I went, okay, well, fine. No, the whipped cream is not going to be too great on that one. So we just let it go as it was. Okay, for the poinsettia one, I'm very carefully dipping it on my Versamark to mostly get the poinsettia on it. And then I brought out the holographic sparkle embossing powder from Midget because, you got to have a little sparkle at Christmas, right? You can always get away with it. And coffee mugs, when you look at them, the fun part about their character is that they all have different tones to them. So this one ends up with a little bit of a speckly tone through the glazing because of the sparkles that are there. All right, we've got that one heat embossed. We're going to put it up at the top. And you can see I'm setting them down on my back panel, but I know that there's something still missing. So I'm just setting them there and letting my mind percolate in the background while I work on the orange slice, which was from the Vault Festive Wreath. Then I figured it out. I am going to put squares behind them, but I'm going to make them wonky squares. So I had one that was normal and the others I'm going to take the die cuts, put the die back over top, and I'm going to set it at an angle to take off two sides of that square. So you go, what happened with that? Well, that's what happened with them. And there we go. Okay, you can see that's where I'm just resetting it back into place. This was one of the Merry Christmas old die sets that I had. I covered it with red tinsel in like chunky spots, and then I put one of the metallic mixed embossing powders in the spots that were missing. Beautiful effect between the two, the red tinsel and the metallics merged really nicely. We're putting it aside to cool down. On the inside of the card, Christmas blessing, Simon Says stamp. Been using this one so much. Between the mix of the fonts with the blocky capital letters, it's just really nice, and so many good sayings on it. So I set those down in a red first. I did bring that enchanted gold pigment ink over top just for a little bit of highlight over that sending up at the top. And the bottom was a sentiment from Coffee Friend from Simon Says Stamp as well. I had one leftover mug. We're going to put that one on the inside. That one doesn't have any embossing on it because it just gives another variation of what type of mug we got. And it's got a little bit of steam rising off of it. We'll get those little guys in place. Pop a custom stamp down on the back. Of course, it's going to be in red. Christmas card, right? On the front, the one mug that was left that has the tea in it, because this tea, they are not a lemon dipper, they are an orange dipper. And so I set the red highlight across the middle, and I thought that the white squares in the background needed a little bit more distressing, so brought in a little bit more brown around the edges. I did splatter them with a little bit of water just to give it an added layer of effect on there. Then I also poked a little piece of twine through from the orange down to a little white square for the bottom of the tea bag. Here is where we're setting the panel on the front. I just used glue with that one because it was pretty heavy duty. And each of the squares I popped up on a bit of foam tape to bring a wee bit of dimension up. We're setting them into place. I'm just going by eyeball here because with them being wonky squares, there's no way to align them. So I just went for where my intuition was telling me that that was the spot. Merry Christmas is going down at the bottom. You'll see the Merry is lined up, but you see that little incline at the bottom? It's perfect for putting in a sub-sentiment. We'll grab another one out of the Christmas Blessings set. We'll stamp it down in red ink. We're going to grab that out, and we're going to get out one of our dice strip die cuts. We're cutting the one side, and then I am going to pop it out, and I'm going to reverse it. And you can see I've got the plate only to a certain portion there, so it's not cutting the rest. Cut the second side out, and then I went around the outside with some more enchanted gold just to bring it in so that we've got some gold on the sentiment in the front, we've got some gold on the inside of the card, and we've got some gold just around the outside of this. So there we are. That's the finished card. I like how this one turned out. I am hoping to get it mailed out if we're able to get down to the post office in time before Christmas. But you all go out, have some fun, be that change you want to see in the world. Thank you for subbing and liking. And go enter that giveaway. Lots of good prizes in it. For those of you that celebrate, have a wonderful and hopefully white Christmas. White just makes it extra magical, right? Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.